enjoyed being the life of the party. So like I enjoyed entertaining. So Justin Carino, anybody? Oh yeah, this is my good friend. It says Kassius Ohno versus Rick Ramirez. No, like, no, that's you. And I'm like, I don't have any gear that doesn't say Payne on it. I feel like I got to show a little bit of what I'm like comedic-wise. I don't know. I feel like I should have got my rub sooner than that. When I was wrestling Moose, I was on fire. First big championship, first time on the heavyweight championship of a company. Oh, that meant the world to me. That was one of the happiest moments of my life because it was something that I had set out to do. When you say Danny Maff, bad match, and that never go into the same sentence. He is that good. No, not many people know this. Right around the time that I hung up my boots, I was going.
Ladies and gentlemen, hosted by Coach C, Chris Sanders, this is Best for Business.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Another episode of Best for Business. I'm absolutely pumped for this one. I already told him earlier, I'm such a mark for this guy. Chris Payne, man, thank you for joining me for this one.
Welcome. Welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Now, I've always been a fan of yours, so I never asked you this. I remember I used to mark out and DM you when I was probably like 12, 13 years old. But for you, I remember it was PWS you started. But what was it that made you want to start?
I always did it. I backyard wrestled with my friends. I went to shows with my father. And then as I got older and was able to drive myself to show, actually, I take that back. I used to get dropped off. Where are you from anyway?
Rhode Island.
Okay, so in Staten Island, there was a place called Sports Fest.
Mm-hmm.
ECW used to run there. They used to do live shows there.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to be the first one at Ticketmaster at the FYE down the block from my house. And I'd get the tickets from them. And then we'd sit first row at the Sports Fest. So my parents would drop us off there all the time.
Wow.
And then I found out that there was a wrestling school coming to Staten Island. Mm-hmm. And my dad took me down there. I was like, I was going to be 17. I was going to be 17 because I wasn't driving yet. So my dad drove me down there, checked it out with me, and then I signed up. And then after that, that's when everything started.
So for you, something I love, I watch the Fight Factory podcast every week. I know about it, your passion for pro wrestling. So when you first started, what would you say was like your goals when you started to be a wrestler?
It's not so much that like I wanted to be famous.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't matter where I was, any setting that I was. It wasn't that like I was the class clown or the goofball. Like I just enjoyed being the life of the party. So like I enjoyed entertaining, and like that was something that I wanted to do in front of people, and I thought I was pretty good at it. And I was like, you know what, this is something that I think I can do and do well at, and then just started.
Yeah, so when I was doing a lot of research, I was going back watching a lot of your matches. So something that sticks out early on. Team aesthetics. Now, whose idea was that?
So, I wasn't. Me and Dave always have like an inside joke. It's not really. It's a joke amongst the kids that were in the school at the time. The guys that were at the school, because like there'll always be there's like that initial class that started Pat's PWS school, but it was more along the lines of Dave used to say the core 12 because it was the first 12 kids who started the school, and then literally like. I literally joined like a month and a half later, and it was only that long because I had to go to Florida. I wasn't going to start and then stop, and then I didn't want to take the break. I had to go to Florida. I had 2 vacations planned, and I didn't want to pick up right away and then feel like I was flaking right away. So I waited till I got back from Florida, and then I joined. And so now Dave always jokes around like, yeah, the core 12, and like they have that like one photo, and I'm like, dude, I may have started a couple months late, but I was really like there from its inception. So Gibbs got the nod as the team captain because he was there longer. So
what was the team aesthetics like? The idea behind it originally?
I don't know. I just think that he called himself the aesthetic one, Damian Gibbs, and Dave was this Dave. What the hell was Dave's Destructions?
Yeah, I remember you guys did team aesthetics versus like team destruction at one point.
Destruction, yeah. It was just more along the lines of like we have a full show. He wants to get the students involved. Easy way to do that is give us like 10 minutes in a 5-on-5 and make it Survivor Series. Like, nice. So
what's the status? Damian Gibbs now, he's like a professional poker player or something?
Dude, professional poker player, and apparently he's doing well at it. So good for him, man.
Yes.
I always like Gibbs. Gibbs is cool.
I reached out to him not too long ago, and he's like, he completely like doesn't care for wrestling anymore.
At all.
Wow. So
It's wild.
you've been a part of some big factions. So after the aesthetics later on in life, is it the Untouchables with Bowens and Wayward and all them?
Yeah.
How'd that one come to be?
I just felt like there was too many new people.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense of we had Pat and Eric trying to put on a show with all these named people and like best independent guys and guys that they knew growing up in the business and stuff like that. And we needed to find ways to get ourselves on the show and create opportunities for ourselves. And I just thought that an easy way to get the four of us involved or more of us involved would be to put a group together. And we decided I didn't pick anybody. It was like the group, like we had the idea to do it, and we ran with the people that we thought we got along with the best and had the like same like path almost at that time. Like our trajectory was on the same path, so we felt like that was like what was best.
Yeah.
And then we just came up with it and just started spitballing ideas and did some stuff, and that was it.
Wow. So the last faction I want to ask you about, this is probably my favorite. How does the idea come to be for Chris Payne to get added to the Jackson 5?
I think it was at a point where, like, I feel like you go through levels when you're in independent wrestling. Like you get like to that point, where like, okay, you're not new, but you're not there.
Yeah.
And I feel like being added to that was just like, okay, we don't have anything for you right now, so let's see if we'll throw shit at the wall and see if it sticks, and then. That kind of happened, and then like we had some good spots and some good, we did. I mean, one of my favorite matches is the Survivor Series match that we did with Ryback, Pat, and the Hardys. I mean, I got to be in the ring with those guys, so that was probably like for the tops for that. But I think it was more along the lines of like, to have nothing for me. Let's see what we can do if you do something here.
Yeah. Do you have any Heavenly Bodies or Shawn Donavan stories that stick out to you?
Stories, not real. I mean, there's always stories.
Yeah.
Like some stuff you don't want told, but I mean, like, we would always like with Follow Bob, we'd always pretend like when we would travel, because we traveled a lot together. Me, Justin Carino, Mark Carino, myself, and Dipsy and Fowler.
Yeah.
And Fowler used to always pretend like he was asleep because they called him the Panda. Like he always pretended like he was sleeping on like a balcony or anywhere you went, he was sleeping. And we'd always be like, Panda, come on, Fowler. But stories, not many that I could tell.
Is the ride in the way that Dear Good Friends started?
So Justin Carino, good dude. Journeyman on the Indies. Anytime you bring some, bro, you can bring up anybody off the shelf, anybody over here, and he wouldn't even be talking to him, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, this is my dear good friend. It's my dear good friend." So then we both broke his chops, like, "Yo, dude, everyone's your dear good friend. Like, you can't, like, you don't even, he doesn't even know you're here. Like, stop saying that." So then everything was dear good friend, dear good friend. I'm like, "Yo, this we're dear good friends," and then dear good friends just started, and then. And then from the traveling and stuff like that, always being on the road together and always being like around each other. Like anytime we did like ring setup and then broke down, and we'd always be together at food runs or getting dinner afterwards. We would literally go on middle of the week for no reason, just go to like diners and meet up and eat and stuff like that. So, yeah.
When did Danny Maff get added to that? Because I have two hoodies, that one, and then eventually they add Danny Maff to one.
So Maff. We're all like, I'm really, really good friends with Maff.
Yeah.
Danny and I have, and I think it's because I'm older.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people forgot that when I started, the last run that I did with WrestlePro was, I was 29.
Wow.
I started at 29. So, as time went on, and it's like, holy shit, he's 31. He's 32. It's like, so add 8 years. I was 37 when I stopped. So, like, I wasn't a spring chicken. So Maff and I, we meshed well because one, our personalities, but two, we're closer in age. So that happened. Dipsy as well. Dipsy was older, a little bit older. But Maff was always there, but like he had that separation because he is a top guy.
Okay, yeah.
So, the dear good friends rolled around and stuff like that, but like Maff did more stuff without us and stuff like that. But then as just time went on and like, he loved hanging out with us and we loved hanging out with him, and just be, They were a good friend.
Yeah. So when I was doing research on your career, it kept going and going. Like, you've wrestled some people that don't even wrestle on the indies nowadays. So I'm curious if you have any stories or memories. The first one I ask you about, do you have anything sticks out wrestling Trent Beretta?
So yeah. So Trent Beretta was like my first. I was like a year and a half in,
Yeah, it was early on.
and he was kind of annoyed
Mhm.
At some of the things that happened in the match, but it was only because he thought that I had been wrestling.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He thought that like I should have known because I'm older, so he thought that I was in the business longer.
Mhm.
And then when Pat was like, he came up to me afterwards because he there wasn't really an attitude, but he was kind of like, you could tell he was ticked off.
Yeah.
Like, and about one spot in particular, and he said something to me. He's like, "You got to do this, dude." He's like, I can't like." And then like 10 minutes later, he came back over. He's like, "Bro, how long you been wrestling?" I said like a year and a half, and he goes, "I take back." He's
Wow,
like, "I'm sorry."
nice. Yeah.
He's like, "Holy shit! I thought you've been working for a while now." He's like, "I just spoke to Pat." And he's like, "He told me that you haven't been even wrestling for 2 years." And I was like,
Wow.
"Yeah, I just, you know." He's like, "All right. Other than that, good job, good, dude. That
Nice.
was awesome." Then I was like,
Nice.
"Oh, thank you." So
Wow.
yeah, it went from like never getting booked again, or
Where was that for? Was that PWS?
that was PWS, and that was in Belleville.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yep. The next guy I want to ask you about, he doesn't even wrestle that much in the indies now. Moose. Do you have anything that sticks out about wrestling him?
it was just easy.
Yeah.
So I know Moose
Nice.
probably so. Because I took such a break from wrestling, I've lost connection with a lot of these guys, or lost communication. So like, and it was more. We were really building relationships when I stopped. So like, it wasn't like a built-in relationship that like we talked to each other all the time on the phone. But when it was happening, like I was friends with Moose. Like I stayed at his house when I went to do NXT.
Nice.
So like I was friendly with him and stuff like that. He might remember who I am now if I see him. He should, but I never with wrestlers.
Yeah.
We are the dumbest people on the planet. We forget things all the time.
Mhm.
So like, people go, "Hey," I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" So they forget so quickly. But I just remember it being so easy. Like everything was just like it just flowed. Like nothing. So if anything got like messed up in the ring, or if like we miscommunication or something like that, it wasn't really miscommunication because we picked it up right away. So yeah, it was good.
So, like I mentioned, I'm a mark for Chris Payne and WrestlePro. So I remember years ago that there was a big show. It was WrestlePro and Impact Wrestling. It was called Race for Impact. And I remember, I had to go back and remember, you were wrestling Matt Sydal, and you put like at the time it was like one of the biggest matches of your career or anything. So is there anything that sticks out about that one?
So I was supposed to wrestle Sydal 1-on-1.
Uh-huh.
And then that was actually my breakup from the Jackson 5.
Wow.
Yeah, so that turned into a 2-on-2
Yep.
because Sydal said that he couldn't go because he had tweaked himself or something like that. So he didn't want to go 1-on-1 because he didn't want to be too much heavy lifting. And then sure as shit, he does all of his moveset. And I'm like, okay. Like, I really could have wrestled you 1-on-1. You could have just said you didn't want to work me, or you just didn't want to work somebody that wasn't on par.
Yeah.
But I really was looking forward to that because it would have been a contrast in skill set because he's a high flyer and I'm like more of like on the indies at least because that's what I was told.
Yeah.
I move more along the lines of like a big guy,
Mm-hmm.
which wasn't the case because it's so stupid because I was 6'2" and 6'3" in boots. So, but whatever.
Who was your tag partner for that? Was it Buster?
It was me and Sydal versus the Carinos.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So speaking of WrestlePro, I wasn't for WrestlePro, but one guy you wrestled a lot of. I remember you had like a mini feud back in the day. Do you have a memory or moment that sticks out wrestling Myers? Because you had like, what was it, like a ladder match with them, a false count anywhere? You had a bunch with them.
Yeah, he doesn't think so. I don't give a shit. Whatever. He had some choice words for that feud on another podcast. But again, it is what it is. I don't give a shit. I tried to get better from that. The only thing that stick, I thought that we put on a good feud. I thought it was entertaining. I thought that we did some stuff. That was probably the most promo work that I had done.
Nice.
Probably. I don't know. I mean, he was very helpful in like telling me like what not to do, what to do, how I should be taking the moment, like how I should handle it and stuff like that. So he he was very helpful in that aspect. But nothing sticks out in the sense. I thought we did a good feud. I thought bringing Tessa in helped her get her name out there and stuff like that. We did you don't see that on the independents. We did the first title for title.
Yeah.
So I thought everything was built up very well. There were a lot of regrets that I have as far as like what I did in matches and stuff like that, and what I didn't take advantage of.
Yeah.
But again, that comes with growth and experience. So, I mean, I thought what we did was I thought it was good work. I didn't think it was great. I thought it was good.
So, to what you just said, how did the idea of you getting paired with Tessa happen?
That was Eric Tap
Okay.
Out. I know he likes to bring in people that might help out grow the brand and stuff like that, and obviously the name and stuff. So and I knew that they wanted to bring in Tully at some point.
Yeah.
But she was up and coming, and they thought that it'd be a good fit for me. So I was like, all right.
Yeah. So the next match I wanted to ask you about, do you have anything? Because a lot of people can't say they did this, wrestling Eddie Kingston.
I like that. I thought that was good. He was a different style. He had that Japanese background. Like that's his shtick. That's what he likes to do. And I had never worked anybody at that point like that. I enjoyed it. Eddie was super easy, super cool.
Yeah.
And then to watch him go on and do what he's done with AEW, I was like, holy shit. I'm like, yeah. It's good to looking back on it. I'm like, yep, I got to tell my kids I worked that guy.
Yeah. So when I think of NXT, one of the names that sticks out to me is Rick Ramirez. So I'm curious, when you did NXT, do you remember how that name came to be?
I was cool with all of it. Like I had a tryout and I flew myself down there like 5 times.
Yeah.
You don't get that. You get a lot of the further north you get is more along the lines of people that they're like looking to sign or people from like North Carolina, Georgia. Like you get that. You get the closer to southern people. Yeah. So when I had the tryout, I made contact and they told me that they, do it this way. So I started doing that. Yeah, hit me again with the question.
Rick Ramirez, whose idea was that?
I'm all right. So that's what it was. I'm familiar with them, and I went up to him and I was like, dude, I'm like, it says Kassius Ohno versus Rick Ramirez. I said, I'm not. There's nobody here named Rick, and they're like, no, that's you. And I'm like, I'm Rick Ramirez, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, I'm Irish Italian. I'm not. I'm like, people have seen me. Like I don't know if that's gonna matter. And they're like, no one gives a shit. And I'm like, I don't have any gear that doesn't say Payne on it. Because at that point, now, like I said, I had done. It's like I think that was my last match, the Kassius Ohno.
You did Machinery, Authors of Pain. Was there another one?
No, it was those 3, and I did extra work. I did I was security one time with Regal.
Nice.
But I think the Kassius, I could be wrong. I don't know. Mm-hmm. No, Kassius Ohno was my last one because that was the last time I had short hair for that.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And I guess I thought that maybe they would remember me because it wasn't a lot of time in between me going down there that I went down again. Like I kept going down every few months. And they're like, nah, don't worry about it. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, so I thought I was okay with bringing down my shit that said Payne on it. And it wasn't a good call. So I went with I wore the pants only because the lettering, the font.
Yeah.
I mean, if you weren't looking hard enough, you couldn't tell that it said Payne. So it was like a weird Celtic Old English.
Of the 3 NXT matches, is there one that sticks out of the 3 of them to you?
Probably the Heavy Machinery one.
Yeah.
That one was I felt like I got to show a little bit of what I'm like comedic wise, only because like I took that bump selling backwards and I just did a straight trust fall and fell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody laughed in the building, like they knew it was happening. So like I got my point across with that. But I don't know. I feel like that one was probably the best out of the 3. I was in the ring more than that for all of them.
Yeah.
Like my time in that match, even with the Kassius Ohno match, was longer.
Yeah.
Like that was I straight up got squashed in that match. Mm-hmm. So, but I thought that was cool. Otis is a good dude.
Yeah.
Every now and then say what's up to him. So
when I look at your career, one thing that sticks out to me, what was it like winning the WrestlePro? I forgot what it's called, the Gold Rush Rumble.
Yeah. Gold. Yeah.
Yeah. Something like that.
Gold. I think it was Gold Rush.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was,
Yeah.
I finally felt like I was getting a little bit of a rub that I should have. I don't know. I feel like I should have got my rub sooner than that.
Yeah.
Only because I felt like when I was wrestling Moose,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like that time period I was on fire, and
Mm-hmm.
I really felt like I was really starting to build something on that. And then I'm trying to figure out like when I felt like that started to decline. I feel like that happened when my son was born because
Okay.
I couldn't commit to practice. I couldn't commit to training. I couldn't get to the gym as much as I wanted to. I started to put on a little bit of weight. So I feel like that was like a decline when right around the time my son was getting ready to be born.
Yeah.
And I feel like the window that I had to like really try and push it with WrestlePro, I just felt like it missed.
Yeah. So then shortly after you win the Rumble, I think it was like 2 or 3 months later, you defeat CAQ and become the WrestlePro champion. So what does that mean to you?
First big championship, first time
Yeah.
on the heavyweight championship of a company.
Yeah.
I felt like there was trust there that they felt like I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look back on it, I really think to myself, why would you ever give me the belt? Because if we're being honest,
Yeah.
dude, I can sit in any room, I could shoot shit and crack jokes with the best of them.
Yeah.
And then something happened between the light going on and me getting to the ring, and I'm just kind of like, I try to be this different person that does not relate to anybody.
Yeah.
And it just was like, that was such the feeling of coming off like I'm trying too hard or not being funny or being, I don't know, it trumped me trying to like take a risk. Not many people know this.
Okay.
Right around the time that I hung up my boots,
Mm.
I was going to Japan.
Wow.
So right before the match with McIntosh where I dropped the belt, I was supposed to go to Japan,
Mm.
but I had to pull out of it because my son was born. And if I had left when I did for the 3 months, I would have lost my benefits and my kid wouldn't have had any health benefits
Wow.
while I was away.
Yeah.
And I was gonna get paid very well. I was gonna wrestle 6 days a week. I was gonna stay with Tanaka had set it up for me
Wow.
through CW Anderson. CW Anderson and
You wrestled him a few times, right?
I wrestled him one time, but he
Yeah,
was by
1-1.
far and away top 5 match that I've
Right.
had. So if you ask me like my tops, and he's one of the greatest dudes in the wrestling business, CW
Yeah.
Anderson. So I met him down in North Carolina for AML. And then I always kept a good relationship with him. He told Brian Hawks and Tracy Myers, the guys that run AML, that
Mhm.
I'm a good dude. Bring him back.
Yeah.
And so I had a nice relationship with them, and that's where the Carinos and I and Fowler and Dipsy started traveling all the time down to
Yeah.
North Carolina. So fast forward, I had reached out to C-Dub because I know he knows Tanaka and he's got a connection to Japan, and he said, he literally got back to me in 12 hours
Wow.
for Japan. I had an email from Tanaka the next day
Wow.
about going to Japan, and I was all set up in a house. I was set up with a stipend, like I was going to get, I think it was $125 a day, not counting my merch if I sold merch and stuff like that. And then I just couldn't. I had this. The thing that I've always been told in this business is if you make a commitment, you stick to it unless it's life or death.
Yeah.
So, or you're just injured. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't do it. So I was told that that's what I went off of in wrestling because I did not want to be. I didn't want to be blackballed.
Yeah.
So when I got told that it was going to be a 3 month and it had to be 3 months, and I told them, I said, I would love to come down there, but I can't do 3 months. I said, it's too much of a commitment and I'll lose my benefits. And they're like, okay, well, if something changes, let me know. And the shitty advice I got was oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, I spoke to the same person about it because they were like, well, whatever ended up happening? I told them no. I said I couldn't give them the commitment for 3 months. And then they were like, well, why didn't you just tell them you can go down there for 6? Because I could go for 6 and keep my benefits.
Yeah.
For 6 weeks and keep my benefits. And I'm like, well, why would I tell them 6 weeks? Why would I say yes for 3 months, but it's only going to be 6 weeks? Like, am I not breaking my commitment? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. I'm like,
wow.
So I called Tanaka and he said we filled the spot. And I was like,
wow. Yeah. So when you talk about like you coming out and it's a completely different person, what would you say was like the inspiration behind Chris Payne and the things you did in the ring, or even outside?
So I mean, like for the majority of my career, I did the police gimmick. Yeah. The police they don't say anything. They just beat the shit out of people. So not really, but you know what I'm saying? Like everyone's impression of the police department, especially I feel like there's more of a liberal crowd with wrestlers. Not to get into politics at all.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a level crowd, so like going for a heel gimmick with that would be easy because like they don't like comps anyway. So it doesn't. I mean, I could do this. Don't have to say anything, and I could slowly put a move on somebody or do something, and they'd be like, "Oh, this guy sucks." So that was where that was at. But then like again, because I'm trying to like, I don't want to offend people either.
Yeah.
Too bad, so I canceled myself. There were so many things that I could not do. That if I did, I know for a fact I would have been booed out of the building.
Yeah.
But I also would have been booed off of shows. So I would have been taken like, no, I don't want you.
So in your
final your heat match, is terrible heat.
So in your final match, you wrestle Matt McIntosh when you lose the title. Now, did you know right then and there you were done wrestling?
No.
Okay.
I knew I was going to take a break, but I had also separated my shoulder in that match on the final move.
Wow.
And then the rehab for that was a bitch. Like everything just hurt all the time. Getting into the gym, I wasn't even going to the gym at that point because, again, it's around that decline was right around the time I had my son. So, everything just started to like slow down for me in life. Yeah. And wrestling 1000% took a backseat.
Wow. So will that ever be the final match Chris Payne wrestles?
I mean, never say never. But I'm trying. It's hard to get into the gym right now and get the training and stuff. I have 3 kids now. It's not one kid; it's 3 kids. I mean, the itch is always there. You know what I mean? Like, because sometimes I see things and like at this point in my life, knowing how I should have been then, with like I should have taken the microphone more. I should have been more vocal. I should have done more promos, put myself out there more. And like a lot of that comes from like honestly watching Cardona. Like we listen to him and he's always like, if you don't put yourself out there, no one's gonna care.
Yeah.
So you know, you got to take a chance on yourself, risk. And that's the stuff that I did not do. I did it like not even what I thought I was giving an effort for was not effort at all. It was just like way too little. So if I did it now, I'd 1000% be balls to the wall. I wouldn't give a shit anymore. I'm retiring in, I think, 8 months. So, you know, as long as I'm healthy, there's a chance I can get back in there, but you never know.
Yeah. So you talk about, are you done?
Go ahead, no.
So you talk about the core 12 originally. So I'm curious, what was that first interaction you had with Dave Sturchio? Do you remember the first time meeting him?
Yeah, he's a dick. No, no, I'm kidding. No, I felt like they were all cool guys. Yeah. You know, nobody was too, I mean, you know, Gibbs is Gibbs, so he's overconfident naturally. But there wasn't, I didn't get any, like, nobody rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't feel a certain type of way about anybody. I just was, I think everybody was excited because it was all new and everyone getting the chance to do some stuff. So nothing stands out too much in the sense of that. Dave, like he is now, is very vocal as far as like, you know, very motivated in wanting to do stuff and things like that. So I feel like me, Gibbs, and Dave really pushed ourselves in that, you know, who wants to be top of the class race. So, and it worked. I think it worked out well. I mean,
so before Fight Factory Wrestling, the company, there's Fight Factory, the podcast. So how does that come to be? Obviously, you're like, I tell Dave all the time, you're the star of the show. But I'm curious, did you always have like an opinion and want to talk pro wrestling for something like that?
I have an opinion on everything. It's just a matter of if anybody wants to hear me. And most times people don't want to hear me because I tell it. I tell it how it is. I don't care. Like if I have an opinion and I think it's what it is, then that's what I'm gonna tell you. I don't care about you. I don't give a shit about your feelings.
Yeah.
And I try to restrain because we are a company.
Yeah.
And we will eventually be using people that leave WWE. We will be using people that are either actively in AEW or leaving AEW. And I'm not trying to shit on the product so much. It's just more along the lines of I want things to be like realistic. Like I want people's expectations to be realistic. And when you try to put things out there that aren't, it's kind of like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like stuff that doesn't make sense to me. I'm just kind of like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? It doesn't make any sense. So.
Yes. So Dave talked about when I had him on that you had the idea originally you wanted to run on the Jersey Shore. That was a goal you had or a vision you had. And then eventually I think it was Dave or somebody said, we're not just going to do one show. So originally for this goal, how long was this something that you wanted to do?
Easily 11 years.
Really?
10 years. I had ex Kevin Matthews.
Yeah.
While we were still in WrestlePro, if we had ever thought about doing anything at the beach, and he said no, never, you know, whatever. And I'm like, do you mind if I try and get a show booked at the shore? And he's like, well, where would you do it? And I said Martell's. I'm like, easily Martell's. I'm like, that place is intimate. It's got the vibe that I'm looking for. Like my vision everything that I've ever thought about putting a wrestling show on was smaller scale of Bash at the Beach. Literally, Bash at the Beach. Because Bash at the Beach is one of my favorites. I just loved the idea of beers, swim shorts, bikinis, and wrestling on the sun by the water. It just always vibed. And that's my vibe. I'm a palm tree beach. Like that's me. Like if I could, I'd be in swim trunks every day and a palm tree shirt.
What was the vision for Fight Factory Wrestling in general as a company? What did you want to do like that made you guys stand out compared to all the other indies?
So just like when we started the whole idea of like we were just sitting down at before the show started one day, and we had talked about the show, and then we decided that day that we were going to do the show, and then it just literally morphed into I'm like, and Dave had the same sentiment. Like we wanted to do our own company. Like I've always wanted to do my own company. It's never been I always felt like stuff like that I could easily, not easily, but I know I could do that and do it well and have people be like, holy shit, that was good, because my OCD won't allow me to put on a shit product. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with Dave. Dave is OCD, very, very motivated and stuff. And then just morphed into like, we'll do that. I always wanted to do like the building. I've always felt like there's not enough. Like I've seen some places they'll have like weightlifting stuff.
Yeah.
And then they'll just have the ring. And then you go to another place, they have a studio and a ring.
Yeah.
It's like, why can't we do our own mini performance center inside of one place? Like, bro, my ideas and Dave's ideas, like we want to have our own building. We want to be able to put stuff in there that's fixtures, like concession stands, but like, you know, get sponsors that are going to be in there all the time. Like, let's just say, for instance, like a pretzel factory. Like, you put a pretzel factory in there, and all of a sudden, it's like, wow, we're making money that way. And then people they can go there online. It's like a mini arena.
Yeah.
And then I want to be able to take the ring, take the chairs, move them to the side, and run an expo inside, run a tattoo convention, a toy convention, the farmers market, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I also want to put weights inside the place. I want to be able to put rooms in there so people can stay there instead of sitting at a hotel or something like that. Like there's a vision for Dave and I to do something big. It's more than just wrestling for that, but we want the focus is to have our own building, have our own event, have our crop of fans, have our school, bring our trainers in, seminars, things of that. We want to take everything that we've seen bits and pieces of in other places that aren't WWE, AEW, and we want that on the independent level.
Yeah.
And like, it's a vision that me and Dave have. There's no reason why we can't do it. And this is like the first time in my life where I'm slow playing something where it's not like, okay, it's got to be done.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's be smart about this. Don't waste money. Don't put money into efforts that don't need to be done. Let's just do it the right way, and it'll eventually come.
Yeah. So when we talk about War on the Shore 1, what would you say were your original goals? And then when you guys came out at the beginning of the show, seeing that reaction, seeing the packed house or the packed beach at the time, what did that mean to you?
Oh, that meant the world to me, dude.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the happiest moments of my life, because it was something that I had set out to do, and it was something that I knew I wanted to do. And even though it took almost 11 years to do, it got accomplished, and it was done well, and it was done the way that we wanted it to, and without restriction.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you get feedback from like Cardona, Kyoto, people like that were on Santana, that were on the show, and they were like, dude, this is... And Cardona told us straight up, he's like, dude, I thought you would cut. He's like, I thought you want to pay me to come out on a Tuesday? He's like, yeah, sure. He's like, I thought I was coming out to 100 people. he's like, I'm really impressed.
Wow.
And I was like, I appreciate that, because that's like, you know, I mean, we had a lot of help. So we had a lot of help there. So it was, and people were down for it, man. They loved it. And we got great feedback from the place. They told us immediately, like, you guys are welcome back next year if you want it. And then early January, whatever it was, they called us and said, hey, you guys still on for? I'm like, yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah. So
during the shows, I see Dave's over there at commentary. What's like Chris Payne's role during the show?
I'm the backstage gopher, brother.
Nice.
I want to make sure. So Dave's, I'm totally on board with him doing the commentary, because that's his thing, right? Like, he wants to do that. That's what he's been doing. Cool. If he decides to step away, that's on him. I'm never going to tell him like, yo, you can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I would like to have more of a role, but it's not necessary. It doesn't have to be a necessary thing.
Yeah. Tommy D's what, manager now?
He's on like the manager backstage deal with me.
Nice.
I'm very much like I'm hands-on in the sense of like we're all hands-on very much. Okay.
Yeah.
But I myself, like I said, my OCD, like if something's not right, I'm gonna fucking say something's not right, and I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna fix it myself because I want it done the way that I want it done.
Yeah.
So like everything backstage, ring. If a table is crooked, I'm going to make it straight. Like I'm not like that's the stuff that I want. And like during the show, like I ran around, made sure we got camera shots from the pier, made sure that the music cues were on point, made sure that the time cues were on point. This year we got headsets. I'm very excited for that.
Nice.
We have microphones. We bought microphones. We have a microphone for the referee now, so we can communicate with him. Just literally standing there instead of like
Yeah.
and and he's like this. So
I marked out huge when I saw you guys brought Nikos Rikos out of retirement.
so Nikos and I have been boys forever. I just he just like he didn't really care too much anymore. Not that he didn't care. I think he kind of realized that like it wasn't going the way he wanted it, and just started focusing more on his personal training and stuff like that. And then I know he did like a show here and there, but nothing like crazy.
Yeah.
So we were doing the battle royal, and we were like, we need guys that look good. Obviously, we want guys that look good and fit the profile. But we've always been friends of Nikos. Always liked him a lot, and we've always told him that if we ever did this show, we'd have you come in, and we have a spot. So
he made a promo. I asked him. I guess he's trying to make like a full return now.
Dude, Dave said, is this going to be a one-off? And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't seen him wrestle in forever. And then sure enough, he made another promo, and I'm like, holy shit, he's booked somewhere else. So,
what about the Scramble? How many minutes over did it go last year? I remember watching that one.
Let's just say it went over more time than it was allotted in total.
Yeah.
So, which was fine. Hindsight, looking back, it was fine.
Yeah.
The literally only reason why we were upset that it went over was because literally 2 minutes after the final bell, we had a monsoon.
Yeah.
And things got wet, and we had to wait it out. People had to run around and scramble to get things to the truck and out of into the tent. And it was just, and you add sand and it's just a shit show.
Yeah.
But literally, we were annoyed that it went over a little bit at the time, but when we watched it back, we're like, dude, this is a good fucking match. And then, like I said, only thing that, and even now saying it, it's like whatever. But they went over by a lot.
So I heard Dave Sturchio's perspective, but for you, what was it like picking and having Danny Maff as your first ever champion? Like Dave mentioned, he had a huge impact on him. And like you mentioned, you're on the road with him. I hear you going on the rants on the Fight Factory pod about him.
Well, it's easy. I mean, there's no reason. They're literally, and I'm not just saying this to them as friend. Like, if you've ever watched, you've seen him.
Oh yeah,
you've seen him live. The guy puts on. When you say Danny Maff, bad match, and that never go into the same sentence.
Yeah,
never happens. He can get the worst student in any school in any part of the country and go out there and put on a 5-star match. He is that good. And I know earlier in his career he got blackballed, and then he took some time off, made a comeback. But since I've been there, Maff has been a main event guy.
Nice, yeah.
And you literally put him up there with anybody, and he can. And it's just you can't have a bad match. You cannot have a bad match. The guy is intense. His promos are second to none. They're screaming montages, but they make sense. They're not warrior rants.
Yeah.
Like the guy cuts an excellent promo. He looks phenomenal. I mean, even he's a big dude, but he's a big dude. So it's not. And even at his age, there's no reason why he hasn't been on either one of those shows, especially with AEW being more independent driven. There's no reason why he hasn't been there.
Yeah, so after War on the Shore 1, you guys go to Knuckle Brawl, you run at a baseball stadium, but now you're going to War on the Shore 2. So what do you think would make War on the Shore 2 stand out from the first one? How are you going to top it?
A couple more sponsors, a few more dollars.
Nice.
I think a little bit more presence in the aesthetic area. The realm will help out with that, which is what we had on the calendar. But I do know that there were some spots that we needed to, like, me personally. If you went to anybody last year that we went there and thought they had a great time, and they were like, yeah, it's phenomenal. No, I wouldn't have changed anything. There's a few things that I would have changed.
Yeah.
So, like, I did not care for how our curtain was set up. I thought that we should have had something blocking it off and then having the entrance.
Yeah, one and then
we needed higher lights. We needed lights in the ring, on the ring. Although it did make for some sick videos and highlight packages with the smoke, the CO2 smoke, and then you had the neon lights, the flashing lights, presenting on like shooting on everybody. It kind of looked like a concert that was happening.
You posted like a hype video or something not too long ago about it.
Yeah, somebody put together a 30-second video of entrances and how the show went on. And bro, it's just like, we got that footage, and that was just like, it was that good because of, one, the guy that edited it, but two, the testament to what work we put into it and how we wanted to present it to the fans.
Yeah.
I thought we did a great job doing that. And like I said, a couple things here and there that we would fix up, but not much.
Yeah.
Because I thought that the space that we had, the crowd that we had, everybody was great. We got lucky that things happened the way they did. And the only thing that screwed us up was the rain at the very, very end.
Yeah.
So
you talk about on this podcast, fight at War on the Shore 2, there's this big battle royal now. Every guy got 5 picks. You, Dave, Tommy Tequila, Tommy D. I seen Nikos Rikos came out of retirement. Is there ever a chance Chris Payne comes out of retirement?
I don't know what you're talking about. No, I don't know. We got to see. We all got picks. So we gotta figure out. We gotta round out, shape it out. And
nice. What other WrestlePro OGs you gonna try to bring out? You got Nikos Rikos.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We got to see.
So, Chris, I want to thank you for joining me. However, I've ended every interview the same. Now, the day Chris Payne decides it's all done in pro wrestling, which I hope is never anytime soon, what do you want Chris Payne's legacy in wrestling to be?
One, that anybody that I interacted with knows that I was a good person.
Yeah.
I think that trumps over everything because there are a lot of pieces of shit in this business. There, no other way to say it. It's just you're either a good dude or you're shit. There's no in between. I want people to know that I always put my best foot forward. I always had the best intention of the fans. I was a good locker room guy. Just an overall good person.
Yeah. That
always gave his best effort to put out the best possible product.
Yeah. Chris, I want to thank you for joining me. This is months in the making. I'm glad we made it happen, man.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, listen, don't schedule. Just tell me when. Just don't ask me to pick a date. You pick and I'll be there.
Thank you for doing this, man. And thank you everybody for watching this episode. This was Best for Business.
Thank you for watching this episode of Best for Business. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, because this is Best for Business.